Coffee's life. Can't do a day without coffee. What's up, everybody? Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today we're talking about why I feel the A6600 is the best all-round crop sensor or APS-C camera you can buy on the market today. Personally, I use the Sigma 30mm with the 1.4, and that allows me to have the best low light capabilities because crop sensors aren't the best in low light. And that's also another reason why I feel, as a beginner, buying a crop sensor is your best option because you're going to get that exposure level perfect, and you're going to learn a lot of tricks in Lightroom that when you finally upgrade to a full frame camera. So let's get into it, guys. I've put some timestamps below so you can click and chop and change between the videos so you don't actually have to watch the whole video because it might be a little bit too long. So today we're going to be talking about what lenses I use, how long I've owned the camera, the specs of the camera, the difference between APS-C and full frame, and the low light capabilities, the advantages of buying an APS-C camera and also the disadvantages of buying an APS-C camera. And finally, we're going to talk about why I feel Sony is the better range to buy compared to Canon or Nikon, even though the Canon camera is a lot cheaper and you can pick up a lot cheaper lenses. But if you have the budget for the Sony cameras, they're the ones for you. So let's talk about price. For the body, it's about $1,200 USD just for the body alone. And if you pick up the kit lens, you're going to spend about $1,600 USD. I wouldn't recommend the kit lens. I mean, it's a good all-round lens, but you're not getting that good wide aperture that you need with an APS-C camera. So what we're filming on today is the Sigma 30mm with the 1.4, and that actually comes in at $269. So it's actually a really, really good lens. Sigma do a fantastic range, and they've created a very cheap lens for the A6600. You can also get this lens in a 16mm and a 56mm as prime lenses. And another great lens to buy is the Tamron 28-75 2.8, and that comes in about $800. That's a very small lens. It's goes to 2.8 and it's a great telephoto lens. If you start looking into the Sony line of telephoto at 2.8, they get extremely expensive. And it's also good to buy FE lenses if possible, because when you upgrade later to full frame, you can take your lenses with you, where if you just buy E-mount lenses like the Sigma 30mm 1.4, it will still fit onto the full frame camera, but it's going to crop in. And I also use the 10-18mm f4, and that's for real estate photography. I can get away with using an APS-C camera with the crop factor, and I only shoot at 12mm. And I use an off-camera flash or HDR depending on the shoot. So in terms of specs, the sensor is a CMOS sensor, which doesn't really mean anything. You're not going to care what that is, but it's a 24 megapixel camera and it records at 4K with no record limit. The previous A6000 lines, they had a 10-minute or a half an hour record limit on 4K. So now you can set up your camera, sit it in one position and record 4K for as long as your memory card can hold. It's got amazing autofocus, especially the eye tracker, which I'm using right now. Like, if I come in and out of frame, it's pretty much like that. The A6600 is a lot better than the A6400, and also the earlier, it uses Sony's real-time tracking technology, which tracks the subject's face to get into focus, and then finally into the eye focus. That's when you get that little box around the eye of the subject. Also, as a small camera, you want a tilting screen. The A6600 has a tilting up screen that goes 180 degrees. The Sony line flips out a little bit to the side, and when you're talking into the camera, you're almost talking to the side of the camera, where if you're filming yourself and it's right in front of the lens, it feels a little bit more natural and you can get a better video experience. There is one issue, and it's a little bit of a workaround if you're vlogging, and that's the shoe is right in front of the screen, so you can't actually have your Rode Video Mic Pro to flip up and film yourself because the microphone is going to be in the way. So there's two ways you can get around that. You can buy a cheap little rig from Small Rig that costs about $30 USD on Amazon, and it just slides into the horseshoe and then puts it to the side so the mic's on the side. Or if you're like me, I got myself a nice cage so I can quickly go from landscape to portrait when I'm doing photos, but also I can put my Rode mic just on the side so it's completely out of the way. So a little bit of a workaround compared to the Canon range where you can just run and gun, put it on top, flip out your screen, and away you go. So in terms of 4K, it can shoot at 30 frames per second at 4K. It can't go up to 60 frames per second or 120 like some of the higher end cameras. But if you want to do that buttery slow motion, you can go at 100 frames per second at 1080p. And it also has options to record an HLG or S-Log profiles. So you can really get into color grading and a few other post-production work when you feel like it. Right? Or you could just shoot on standard. We're shooting on HLG here, but standard profile comes out really well. The camera shoots at 11 frames per second, and it has the Z-Type 100 battery, which is basically the same battery as the full frame cameras, and it has the best battery life out of all the APS-C ranges. Max shutter is 1/4000, and ISO can go up to 100, I don't even know how to say this number, 100, how do you say that?
10,000, yeah, that's 10,000.
No, that's 100,000.
Let me see.
102,400. That's it. The ISO can go up to about 100,000. It's actually 102400. It has in body stabilization. It's not the best. Like if you're gonna buy a camera and you think like stabilization is gonna replace a gimbal, it's not. It just crops in a little bit, and you can also do that in post-production. So in body stabilization is really good, where lens stabilization is a lot better. And finally, you can connect the Sony line or the a6600 to your phone. So you can connect the camera to your phone, and then you can take photos. And you can adjust all your parameters like your f-stop, your ISO, your shutter speed. And that's what I use for real estate photography, because you can, like, you used to have to buy like a plugin that's like a clicker, and that takes your shutter. It's a shutter button. And now I can just use my phone, I can check the shot, I can go all the way back down there when I'm using my off-camera flash, I can get the flash perfect, check the shot. Like, it's a really, really good app, and it really makes sense. Okay guys, that's all for today's video. I hope you really enjoyed it. The timestamps are below. You can swap in and out of the different talking points that we talked about today. I've linked all the gear below, so if you want to check it out, it's all got links below. And yeah, get into photography. It's a great hobby. It's a good way to make money. Thank you. Shaka, bro.